Om Shanti. This is Neville from GRC, the Global Retreat Centre at Oxford, recently reopened in all of its wonderful glory after a long period of closure for major refurbishment. I've been asked to say a few words about Dadi Gulzar and Dadi Janki, and the first thing that strikes me is just how utterly different they were. One of the wonders of the creation, as it took place through Shiv Baba and Brahma Baba, is of these daddies, this army of daddies, each one utterly unique and individual in their character, and yet all contributing their different specialities to Baba's task. I don't think there's been anything like it in history before, except at this time in the cycle. And thinking about Dadi Gulzar and Dadi Janki, they're like at the extreme ends of this spectrum. Dadi Janki, immensely courageous, creative, engaging. Dadi Gulzar, utterly detached and beyond. I remember Gopal Bhai, who lived with Dadi Gulzar for many years, told us once that he said she is not of this world and she has never been of this world. It was as if Baba saw that this soul, who he gave so much to in her childhood, singing her to sleep with lullabies and wakening her in the morning as the future princess of the Golden Age. Fancy growing up with that. She had such fullness of spirit that it was like she could be a completely clean slate for the role that she was to play with Bap Dada. But Dadi Janki, what a difference. Dadi Janki married off against her will, had her husband force himself on him, this poor young man. I feel sorry for him in the sense, but you can't forgive what happened. But, it was very, very rough for Dadi Janki. She had a child she didn't want. And then when she finally escaped into the Yagya, she was put in charge of the children by Brahma Baba. And she felt so bad, I think, for quite a long time. But this was also the wonder of the drama, that it created immense willpower in Dadi Janki, and immense courage, and an immense capacity to engage with people who might look very far from being the sort of appropriate instruments for Baba's task. And I would say I was rather one of those, where I'd had a very materialistic lifestyle and really very materialistic outlook programmed into my brain. And yet my heart was touched by the vibrations of truth that when I met them through the Brahmin family. And Dadi Janki was willing to engage in order to kind of hold me in place long enough for the stone intellect to melt and for something of Baba's understanding to penetrate the soul or re-emerge in the soul. I'm so grateful for that, because I don't think any of the other daddies would have had the capacity to do that, or each one very great in their own way. But Dadi Janki had that courage whereby she really would deeply engage with you. She had an argument once with Dadiji in Madhaban, Dadi Kamarka, who was saying no attachment is permissible. You have to become completely free of attachment. Dadi Janki was saying, well, I think sometimes attachment can be useful in Baba's task. And a bit like a mother who would be attached to her child until the child was strong enough to stand on its own feet. Dadi Janki would do this for us if we were willing to allow her. She would kind of get her claws into us to hold us in place so that we really would stand a chance of allowing Baba and his understanding and his love to work on us until we would be cleaner and able to really absorb Gyan. And that was very much my experience. There was one occasion when in Madhaban, and my self-respect was down for some reason, and I was feeling that I just can't live up to what Daddy seems to be asking of me. And so I thought, okay, let me become free, and then it won't hurt so much. And I was in a gathering where Daddy asked us, a small gathering, a few people, she asked us, what's your current effort? And when it came to me, I said, my current effort is to become free of attachment to Dadi Janki. I got the bony finger. She said, I'm not letting go of my attachment to you until you become perfect. Well, she's gone and I'm not perfect yet. But nevertheless, I hugely appreciate that attitude that she had, where she was prepared to take a lot of criticism at times, because sometimes she'd try hard on someone and yet they would fail. They would feel that this was too much and they'd move away. So, okay, each one has their part, but Dadi Janki would hurt when this happened. And I feel as if that was part of her greatness in a sense. Don't you think that that greatness was present in Sakar Baba too? I do. It's not there in Avyet Baba because he's right up there above and he comes and speaks in this very idealistic way to us all. But Sakar Baba confesses from time to time. He makes mistakes. He says he's a Shudra. He needs Shiv Baba to restore truth in him. And in the meantime, he too engages in that work of creation that brought so much criticism, not only from outsiders, but from inside as well from time to time. So much courage to actually do that work of really getting in there to shift the consequences of all those centuries in Ravan's kingdom. Dadi Gulzar, just what a wonder she was, sitting there in Delhi, seeming to do almost nothing, and yet everything happening around her. So from there being just one centre back in the 50s, early 50s, I think, over a few decades, hundreds and hundreds of centres opening in that area. But with Dadi Janki coming abroad with nothing, virtually nothing, and then thanks to her energy and efforts, after her few decades, 140 countries with Baba's work going on, and thousands, if not millions, of students now tuning in to different degrees to the truths of Rav.